Hey WealthLab 8 users, Glitch here. Today we're going to release WealthLab 8 Build 5, so I wanted to get this video done before we have our webinar later today. So there's a few quick hits to do in this video, so let's get started. The first item was requested on our forum. It was something that was available in WealthLab in earlier releases in version 6 and prior. It is the ability to generate a bitmap, an image from the strategy chart from within the strategy code. So let's take a look at the new method that's supporting that. Let's go to our quick ref, and the quick ref starts out showing us the user strategy base class, which is the basic strategy class in WealthLab 8 that all strategies are derived from. So we have a new member here under the chart rendering section. It is GetChartImage. So let's click that. Calling this method from within your strategy will generate a bitmap image of the chart with the indicators and whatever other cosmetic chart things your strategy has done. So there's an example here. Let's click the example button, which will open up in a new strategy window and automatically execute. So what this example is doing is it's rendering some background colors first of all on the chart. So let's maximize this, and you'll see based on the RSI level it is rendering some background colors. If we look at the code here, the execute method is setting the background color based on the RSI. However, we override the backtest complete method. And here we are calling GetChartImage to get a bitmap of the current chart image. We're then creating a new bitmap of a smaller size, 600 by 400. Then we're copying the chart image bitmap into the smaller bitmap, and finally we are calling this draw image at method that's also in user strategy base and just drawing that smaller version of the chart onto the upper left corner. So what it results in is kind of like this chart within a chart effect. So I mean, not very practical, but it is a good way of showing you the results of using GetChartImage by rendering it here right onto the chart itself. So you could save the image to a file or do whatever you want with it, but the ability is there now with GetChartImage. Next, we have a new gene in our strategy genetic evolver. So if we go to preferences and click this evolver tab, this shows us all of the genes we have available. We have a new, actually two new genes, a cell after n bars and a cover after n bars. So these genes can randomly show up when the evolver is generating strategies, and they will exit a position after a certain number of bars. So let's open up the evolver and see if we get any random strategies that are using these genes. I'm just going to step through the different strategies here. So here's one. So this randomly generated strategy is buying at market open if the consecutive down of the closing price from 5 days ago is greater than or equal to 4. So that's 4 or more bars where the close was lower than within 5 bars ago. It's then selling after 7 bars. So here's our new gene in action. So the new strategy gene, this was also requested on our forum, so we implemented that. Another new feature of the evolver that we implemented based on a user request is this multiple position here. So if you go to the building block strategy and create a new building block strategy, you have the ability to create the strategy so that the blocks will manage a single position at a time or can manage multiple positions. So you may want to do multiple positions for something like maybe if an RSI is crossing into an oversold level, then maybe you want to open a position. If it then comes back up and crosses again, maybe you want to open another position. So then you would select multiple positions. If, however, you only want to establish one position per symbol, when that RSI crosses under an oversold level, you would then use single position. So that's the option here. But now in the evolver can select this multiple position symbol as part of its normal kind of random generation process. So that's new. But to support that, we needed to add another preference to the evolver. So if I go back again to preferences, you could see here we have an evolver timeout. So this is the number of seconds that the evolver will let a strategy run before just timing it out and canceling it. And this was important now because for multiple positions, you can run into situations where the evolver will generate a strategy that just creates a position on every bar, or something close to that, and it'll really bog down the execution of the strategy. It'll make the evolver just drag on and on. So we needed to add this timeout feature to abort strategies such as that. But note, this timeout will occur only when the strategy enters its execute phase. So you may still see some cases where a strategy takes longer to initialize, maybe even in this 30 seconds or whatever you set. That could be because the indicators that it's using are taking a lengthy amount of time to initialize. So this is the new timeout option for the evolver. Next, we have a new feature in the strategy monitor. The strategy monitor is the tool that will let you automatically run strategies in WealthLab 8, executing them at a specific interval. So if you drop a strategy in here, and you select a scale of daily, weekly, monthly, let's say daily, you're going to get a new section here which will let you explicitly establish the runtime for that strategy. So there was a lot of confusion about when are these daily strategies run by the strategy monitor. So that's actually controlled here in preferences under trading. So that's controlled here. Strategy monitor daily plus scales will execute a certain number of minutes after the market close. So here I have it set to 180, so 3 hours. So that's why when I go to the strategy monitor again, and I drag a strategy in here, you'll notice here that it's defaulting to 7 o'clock. So that's default value is based on the preference. So it's 3 hours after market close of 4 o'clock. So you can now control on a strategy by strategy basis exactly when the daily or higher scale strategies will execute in the strategy monitor. So let's look at our new feature in the strategy save as dialog. We were on a support call with InnerTrader from our forum. Fortunately, we managed to figure out what the issue was. We got that resolved, but in the process, he mentioned, well, when I save a strategy as, it would be great, when I click on a folder, it would be great to see the strategies in the folder. So we added that to the save as dialog here, so you can do things like if you want to override a strategy, you could just click the name, or you can give it a 2, something like that. So just a kind of a convenience feature to see the strategies in the folders you're clicking on in the save as dialog. Finally, one new feature, or actually this is more of a fix. So our 60-minute bars in WealthLab you might have noticed that they were cut off at the end. So if I go to a 60-minute chart, the first 60-minute bar, WealthLab always stamps bars at the end of the interval. So the first bar will always be 10:30. Then we've got 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. Now, you might have noticed there would be no 4:30 bar because 4:30 is after the closing time of 4 o'clock in the market. So we corrected that. So now for 60-minute charts, you will see the 4 o'clock bar correctly in that 60-minute chart. That applies to all data providers. So there we go, the correction for 60-minute bars. And that's it, folks, today for WealthLab 8 Build 5. See you next time, and see you all on the forum.